Hey, what is up, my tricksters? It is your friendly neighborhood Yu-Gi-Oh! Superhero back again. We're going to be going over a Dragunity deck profile today. I'm uber excited about it. I got some inspiration from some other people online, etc. And this deck is really a lot of fun. And I think it's going to have some unique play things. And I'm going to, and we're going to go into more detail on that. And I'm going to give you some alternative strategies, etc. That being said, before we get into that replay footage that's supposed to be there, you guys are probably wondering, hey, there's supposed to be a skit here. In case you guys have, missed the last few videos, skits and the deck profile are now two separate videos. The reason for this is because it allows me to have a little more time to work on things. As you guys are probably going to see in the replay footage, you'll probably notice a few things. That being said, it's also going to be, I'm working on getting a Patreon, so I'm also thinking about doing some things there, which will involve the skits. But that's still to be determined. That also being said, since I mentioned the idea of a Patreon, you guys probably want to know how you can support the channel for the diehards out there. You can do that by checking out the description. At the top of there, you will find a link to your playmats. You can get yourself some really cool custom sleeves like these that you can also throw any kind of artwork you want on them. And if you do so using that link or code BEN10YP, you'll get 10% off your order and you'll be supporting the channel. You can also check out my merch store, link in bio for that. You get yourself a t-shirt with my logo on it. And yeah, I'm really excited to showcase this deck profile. So let's go check out that replay footage and I'll see you guys afterwards.
Let's hope it.
right, there you have it, guys. That was this Dragunity Go Second Kaiju deck. You know, in action. You guys got to kind of see it. And then, of course, you saw me, you know, battle with some bugs for a little bit there. That was kind of fun. That one was my favorite match. Anyway, guys, let's go ahead and go over this deck profile, and then we'll talk about a few things. All right, so first of all, we got to have the Kaiju stuff. You know, let me just move this over here. See, you got to have your Kaijus. You do not have to play these particular ones. In fact, if you were going to play any of them you want, I would suggest you play just the level 8 ones, but and the level 10 ones. But I had to go a little bit of a different route based on the Kaijus I had available for this deck, because that's kind of how I do things. If it's a deck I personally own, I prefer to play with cards that that are actually in my collection. So, or about to be in some of these cards cases. We have the Kaijus. So we got the level 10 one. This is to help you with Exceeds plays in the extra deck. Level 8 is for Synchro plays, as well as it's a wind, because we don't really care about the barrier statue. Most of our stuff is wind. So when Tri-Brigade drops the barrier statue, this deck just kind of goes, okay. And then, of course, we got Radian, and we got the Sticky String. There is an Xyz monster in the extra deck that we can actually use these guys for with our Dragunity, or excuse me, our Dragon Ruler. Might as well be a Dragunity. Anyway, yeah, which I'll get to that when we get to the extra deck. And then, of course, we got Dragunity Armogram. I wish this guy was a quick effect, but unfortunately Konami didn't have the, you know, the two brain cells roved together to put that in there. Anyway, this guy's also a pseudo Dragon Ruler, so you know it's kind of good. It's like playing with two Tempests, like back in the day when Dragunity used to play like triple of the Dragon Ruler of Storms here, and just play like Dragunity Dragon Ruler. That was the thing. Then we got Miss Latane. I don't even bother with Arma Leviathan or whatever its name is, the level 8 Dragunity. We just use Miss Latane. It's just another extender. It's also a way for us to make some of the cards in our extra deck. Alright, then we got Legatus. We're playing triple copies of him. This one is this guy is what, this slot would have been taken up by other things like Zephyros the Elite, Garuda the Wind Spirit, which you can still play those if you want. Those are still viable cards in Dragunity. I'm just saying that I felt like I didn't really want those cards. I wanted this card, sticking to most of the Dragunity stuff. A card I never thought I would be playing 3 of is Dragunity Senatus. He has actually finally surpassed Dragunity Dux, which I'm playing 2 of. Originally, it felt like I thought that Senatus was always going to be the weaker of these two guys, because these two guys were always the normal summons for Dragunities. But, you know, this guy kind of has surpassed him now. So, Dragunity Dux is the lesser of the two, but you still need him, because there are going to be certain situations as the game progresses where you will need to have him as your starter over Senatus, etc. Then we got Q's. Q's has gotten way better over the years. Once we get to the extra deck, I'll talk about that more so. But this card, like being able to be level 4, unfortunately, it has the drawback of only being good for Dragunities. But what are you gonna do? You can't have it all. Then we got Remus, and I just ordered these guys. So Dragunity Remus is a card I just ordered. So I don't have mine yet, but they're in the mail. They're on the way. I'm actually... this card was actually really... this was a card I think that Dragunities definitely needed. It gets you to Dragon Ravine. It's also special summons. Allows you to, you know, keep making plays. As you'll see in some of the replay footage, this guy's what really lets me make this really impossible board. And then we got Phalanx, because Phalanx is still a viable card for Dragunities. You still need this guy. Q's is kind of just is more copies of this guy, basically. Then we got the one Raigeki. You don't have to play this card. You could really just, if you have things like Lightning Storm, you can play that. In fact, I would recommend you to play that if you can afford to play those cards. I just didn't have, I can't afford a card like that, so I just played Geki. It works for what I need it for. Upstart Goblin, deck thin. Terraforming, needed to get to these guys. Monster Reborn, just, you know, keep the plays going. Kaiju Slumber, like I said, if I had the money, this would be, you know, it probably would be like 1 Slumber and like 2 Lightning Storm or something, but I don't have the money for that, and I'm not going to deal with it. So 2 Slumber, these are going to help wipe your opponent's boards, because destruction is still a thing, and then the Kaijus themselves are for cards like Dragoon, who are a bit of a pain in the ass. Then we have this other card that's really fun, that a lot of players who don't ever see this card coming, and this Dragunity Whirlwind. And the fun part about Dragunity Whirlwind is it's kind of Ash Blossom bait. You play this card so you can bait Ash and continue your plays. But if they don't ash it, it's just a free synchro. It's literally just a free one of these guys, pretty much. It's just a free Vajrayana. Or if you want to just leave them out there so you can make link plays like these guys, you can totally do that. But just know that you're locked into dragons once you use this card. Like, that's it. You're not going to be able to do anything else. You're locked into dragons. So just keep that in mind. Dragunity Draft. This is to get back cards like Legatus, for example, or Dragunity Ducks. So basically, you use this card as a way to get to these guys, and then of course, this card can single-handedly restart a whole play if your resources are down, as well as when your Dragunities are attacking, they're unaffected by things, which is really good because while they're attacking and unaffected by these things, there's been a handful of effects that activate in the battle phase that are really threatening, and this card kind of just says, well, I don't really have to care, you know. Divine Lance. This card's actually really handy. It's not only used as an extender, but if you actually happen to get this card and equip it to one of your cards, it'll protect that card from impermanence. So they'll have to negate your monster before this card resolves, and that's just kind of fun, kind of forcing your opponent into that corner. Like, oh, well, if you had imperm and you didn't use it, now my negate is protected from your negate. So, then you got Dragon Remain. This card is in this deck is mostly just used to add the level 4 Dragunities. But you also can use it to send the dragons. And obviously, you know, you're going to want to probably send Armogram, your Dragon Ruler, your excess big extenders. And then you guys are probably looking at, what in the crap is this trap card? Okay, this is Harpy's Featherstorm. I'm pretty sure this card isn't commonly played in Dragunities, but the reason I like it is because it is a turn stopper. Alright, the cool thing about this card is if we go second, like what we want, it's not that bad because we have a way to use it going first, thanks to this card. But if they force us to go first and we don't get an optimal way to keep moving, like I have literally basically throw down a Senatus, them impermanent, then set this, and then on their turn I flip this, and their whole turn, an opponent's entire turn, is over. And I get to try again because they have to basically set a card or set a handful of cards and pass. And then I get to try again on my turn, which is really cool. I really like the idea of Harpy's Featherstorm in this. And you're going to probably see this card in a lot of things going forward, because I know Tri-Brigade's probably not going to get hit on the next list, if you want me to be honest. And I know that there are more bird stuff coming down the pipeline in the future, so you're going to see this card more often. I won't even be surprised if this card actually ends up on the ban list at some point. But that's a discussion for another day. Anyway, now let's get to this extra deck. Now, because this part's going to look a little bit confusing to some of you guys. We have Dragunity Knight Ascalon. This card's kind of standard. If you're playing Dragunities, you probably want this card. He's literally Dark Arm Dragon, but for Dragunities. And he banishes instead of destroys, which I think is really cool and really useful. I wish you could do it to back row too, but, you know, Dragunities can't have all the nice things. Speaking of another Dragunity card I wish was a little bit better, Dragunity Knight Eridir. I'm gonna assume it's Eridir and that the B is silent. So Eridir is basically it is the Dragunity equivalent to Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon is what Eridir is. Basically, your opponent activates something, you can quick effect, you negate it, you vanish the card. That's really cool. If this guy would destroy a monster in battle, then that monster gets to get banished, and then if he dies, he destroys all the spells and traps in your opponent's field too. So he's kind of like a, you know, he's a little scary to the opponents who play a lot of back row if they choose to destroy him in the conventional way instead of like using him and removing him from the field in the unconventional ways, like spinning him back to the deck, for example. Then we have the Draco Berserker of the Tinyi. This monster's just in here because I like it. You don't have to play this card. In fact, I probably will take this card out because I rarely ever summon it. He just looks cool. There's other cards you can play that are better cards, to be honest. I'm thinking about playing Scarlight instead of this guy because there's been a few games I could have won if I had just had a burn effect instead. Stardust Dragon. Alright, this is the card you probably would take out, or the second Eridir. The reason I was going to say, before I lose my train of thought, the reason why I wish Eridir was a little bit better is because if you have two of them on the field, you still only get to use the negate once from one of them. Like, it's not two negates. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not one negate per Eridir, which I'm like, Konami! Konami makes me mad sometimes. So really, if you're going to play this deck competitively, you probably want to either take out the Stardust Dragon or you want to take out the Air and you want to play this card. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. I just didn't do it because I wanted to. I remember playing Dragunity back in the day, and like Stardust Dragon was like the big cool thing you could make with it. So this one's only in here for nostalgia. You do not have to play this card. In fact, if you were playing this competitively, you probably should take out the Stardust and play this guy. Alright, and then we got Barca. Talk about a card that got a glow up as time went on. This card used to be dog poo. I remember I bought my copies of this card for $1 in like 2012. Or something like that. 2014, something like that. I don't even remember. Like, nobody was even looking at Dragunities, and I just thought it was cool, and it was in the cheapo section, and I was trying to collect them and looking for other ways to play Yu-Gi-Oh! At the time, and then I got them, and now they're like, I don't know, last I saw, they're like, you know, a couple, they're decently priced now. Vajrayana, you kind of need this guy. This guy also is another way to, you know, you keeps your plays going. This guy helps you get into these guys with Qs. You need that card. It's kind of like, you know, also this guy's the reason why this card even he's playing Dragunity at all, obviously. And then we got Gustav Max because we have all these level 10s. It's another way to make this guy. Just be sure you be careful what cards you use with it because there are certain, like I said, because of certain ways these cards work, like with Dragunity Whirlwind, for example, you want to have access to it. Just FYI. But it's really fun when you actually can just, in a pinch, take your level 10 Kaiju, which is why one of the things I would suggest is like changing these guys' levels and like your Armagram and then making this and winning the game. All right, now the reason why we're playing this card at all, Volfanargus, the Darkest Dragon Doom Rider. That's probably not how you say that, but we'll just call him Doom Rider for short. So Doom Rider here is a level 7, rank 7, Xyz monster. And the really fun thing, man, I wish this guy existed during Dragon Ruler format. Could you have imagined? This guy is basically Dragoon for level 7s. And the only way we're making this card is with Tempest and one of our level 7 Kaijus. So if we have to give ourselves Sticky String or Radiant for any reason, we can just overlay and make this card. And this guy is, like I said, a Trident-esque monster. Like Zodiac Trident-esque monster. So if this guy basically has a dragon as a Xyz material, he has the ability to detach and destroy a monster, so I think that's really useful, and that becomes a quick effect if there's a dragon as material. So, I think this card could see more play in the future, but right now, that's just, you know, it's just if we're in that situation, we're in that situation. Triple Burst Dragon. This card is basically to help us in the battle phase, because there are tons of battle phase effects, that are very annoying, and this guy can get around that problem, because he negates stuff in the battle phase. And I think that's... So he's a pseudo-negate. Nightmare Phoenix, we got to get rid of that back row. It's a pain in the ass. Then we got Harpy Conductor. This card is just so, if we are going second, we can make this card real fast, you know, and activate and use Harpy's Feather Storm immediately. That is the only reason it's in here, because this card counts as Harpy Lady while it's on the field, and it does have a really cool effect that doesn't really come up very often. That if it would be destroyed, it can destroy back row in its place. That's kind of useful. It's mostly could be used to get rid of things like Draft or Lance or Ravine, if it was for some reason needed, or if, like, if for some reason keeping this monster in the field was more valuable than keeping these spells, which Draft doesn't, to be honest, doesn't really do a whole lot. So, you know, this is a prime example of a card that we probably would love to get rid of. And then, of course, you got your Romulus. This card is the other card that helps us get to Dragon Ravine, just like Remus. And this card also is used to get to our other cards like Lance. It can get us to Whirlwind and Draft. These are all like it can literally get us to any of these. And if we're forced to go first in like games 2 and 3, it can search our Oblet, our Dragunity Oblet. Basically, this is our counter trap. I really like playing this card, but I really think that it's just not the right format to be main decking this card. I think it is going to be more of a side deck issue card. So, so if you have or thinking about getting Dragunities, I think you should go ahead and get at least a copy of this card and have it in the collection just for later, because I think it'll be more useful later as we go. Now, for the rest of these cards, these are just other things I wanted to point out to you. One of the really cool things that this deck can do potentially is it has access to Sovereignty and the Statue of the Stormwinds. I haven't found the right combo to make this thing come out like regularly and comfortably on my part, so I'm not main decking it right now. But if you guys want to leave me some ways to, like, maybe I can main deck this in Dragunities going forward, because yes, we do have a lot of birds, you know, naturally in the deck, but the thing is, a lot of the spells and traps kind of conflict with that and kind of force us to stay in dragons, which is why I don't really like to main deck it. But if you guys can give me some ideas on maybe how I could go that route, I might go that route. I'm not above it. Like I said, this is just here so I could point out to you guys that, you know, you want to take out Stardust or the second Iridir for that. This card is just another side card I thought I might mention to you guys if you guys are looking for something to kind of like whoa your opponents a little bit, is some more Repulsion. Now, the reason why this card is so much is an interesting sideboard card is at the cost of getting rid of a bird, you know what I mean, you are literally going to Giant Trunade the field, sending all of them back to their hands. So this card is actually really useful if you're up against back row heavy decks. You could take out your Kaiju stuff, throw this card in, and you'll have a way to just clear the board and then just throw big monsters and smash. So just another card for you guys to think about. I really like this card in the side. This is probably going to be in my version of it once the deck is finalized. But there you go. This was my Dragunity build, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm really curious to get your guys' input. I hope this was in-depth enough for you guys for a crazy Dragunity build. And guys, let me know your tips and tricks for this deck also in the comments below. If you're new to the Ben 10,000 YGO channel, please consider subscribing. Make sure you leave a like on one of these videos. And guys, I will catch you in the next one. I'm your friendly neighborhood Yu-Gi-Oh! Superhero, and I'm out. Peace!